Hello, everybody. This is Car Chronicles number 41. So it's been a very hectic week. My mom has been in the hospital. She's just getting out. And life has hit me and become very, very stressful. But I'm not down and out. And so, I threw myself into my craft. And my craft can be anything. I do event planning, as you all probably understand. Event planning, baby showers, I crochet. I'm just a jack of all trades when it comes down to creativity and trying to be a creative force. And I'm such a Virgo because I really want to perfect. Like when I hone in on something and I learn something new, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this. And then after I finish doing it and it's not the best, I'm just like my worst critic and I just beat up on myself. So my new thing is candy apples. Candy apples, cake pops, chocolate covered pineapples, chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate covered pretzels, drunken popcorn. I'm actually gonna change the game with this drunken popcorn because I got this special recipe. And I made my own caramel. And so what is really funny is that I wasn't really a caramel fan. But once you start doing stuff, you really become appreciative of the things that you learn. Just like I have a newfound love for apples. I've always loved apples, by the way. But like my sister and I, we could just sit on the phone and just talk about different apples like Granny Smith, Golden, Delicious, Red Delicious, Apple Crisp. It's just so many. And so we should have went apple picking. So I think that's what we're going to do in October. Me and her are just going to take a trip and just go apple picking like with the Amish. Because my sister wants to be Amish so bad. But anyway, so I cooked my own caramel. I made my own caramel, used my own recipe. It's nothing but butter, corn syrup, a little vanilla, brown sugar. Light brown sugar, and you have to have a candy thermometer and you just cook it. And so I tasted it because I used it on a couple of caramel apples and it was the wrong recipe. I mean, that was the right recipe, but it was the wrong recipe for what I was trying to do. And it was very, very loose, very runny, and it was okay, but it had such a wonderful flavor. And so I remember when I used to be a manager at McDonald's, they used to have this caramel that we used to put on. We used to use chocolate syrup, we used to use strawberries syrup, and then we used to use caramel, hot caramel. And so I said, oh, this has such a great flavor. It would taste great on ice cream. I need to package this thing and put it up. And so because it was the wrong recipe for the apples, I ended up having all these containers. So I put the caramel in the container and put it in the refrigerator. And so the next day I had the idea, because when I go out to the bar, bike night, or whatever people ask for requests, I had been making drunken popcorn, which is basically infused and cooked, because chefs used to cook with liquor all the time, like wine and all kinds of vodka and things like that. So I mastered this popcorn recipe, and I've also mastered a stale popcorn. Like if it's stale, I know what to do with it to get it repurposed. And so I had this idea because I had made Jack Daniel's popcorn. So I ended up making I used a whole fifth of apple crown apple royal, because I'm not a drinker. So it's Crown Apple Royal. So I said, I'm going to, brown is good with liquor. And then with like Crown Apple Royal, Jack Daniels. And then when you are doing something light and airy, it's good with vodka, white liquor. And so, like, if I was going to do something that was dark, I would get, like, if I needed Patron, I would do something dark. So I said, okay, I'm going to get this Crown Apple Royal. So I got me some green apple flavor, and then with the caramel, and then because I got the idea to put the caramel in the popcorn and infuse it with the Crown Apple Royal. So I got these, like, wonderful flavors going on. I call myself putting the caramel in the microwave to kind of soften it up so I can put it in a pot to start it to candy. And I got 2nd-degree burns. Boy, that was the worst 2 hours of my whole freaking life. I got burns on my face. I got burns on my hand. But God is good, because as I am feeling this 2nd-degree burns, there's a couple of lessons here. God is a healer. When I say he's a healer, he was genius when he created the body. In my book, I talked about the healing process, whether it's your heart, whether it's you recovering from drugs or you're an addict or whatever the case may be. He puts these nerves and pulsating nerve endings in your body. So if you ever notice, like I broke a toe a couple of months ago, and my toe was throbbing. What people don't understand is that throbbing is your nerve endings trying to repair and soothe the hurting. And so it is really true when people say, by his stripes we are healed, because we know we're going to be healed. And when those pulsating nerves are constantly throbbing and moving and stinging, that's your body self-healing. And when your body, like if you get burned and your body's blistering, that is a mechanism to keep you from getting an infection. It doesn't mean you're not going to get an infection, but your body is trying to heal itself. And so when I broke my toe, I ended up having like these ice packs that the hospital gave me. And I had one on my face and I had one on my hand for 2 hours until the pain subsided. It was the best thing. And I was just praying, because I just want to make people happy, and I just want to be happy. On top of this, I found an out for my stress. And so I was so happy. But then when, the devil's a liar, because when I got burnt, I had to go sit down because I think I was doing too much. Like Virgos, we do too much. So I called my sister while I was texting her. I was like, I can't believe I got 2nd-degree burns from this hot-ass caramel. But I'm okay. And I was still grateful that I learned and I taught myself something new. And I want to just give so much love to even the people that's on YouTube that's sharing the wealth. And I found this other woman on YouTube who's cooking. I won't even say her name. And she just wouldn't even start until everything was set, because she wanted to get monetized. There are people who are sharing their ideas, and I always felt like sharing the wealth is so important, because when you share the wealth, it's going to bless you, right? And so she couldn't even get started. Wait a minute, because if you do this, I won't get monetized. It'll be demonetized. Like, girl, you ain't doing nothing but frying some chicken and making some meatloaf. Sit down. And I actually had to unsubscribe from her because I was so annoyed. But now that I am trying out different recipes and I'm selling some of the things, I'm donating it back to my club that I'm in. Checks are just coming in, and I'm I'm just not even prepared. I'm not asking for it. And I know that eventually I'm going to perfect this. And hopefully I will have something to retire. Like, I have a little pocket of depression where I'm sitting here like, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do with my future? And every time I think about it, I don't want to work at a desk and keel over at 70 trying to retire. I want like a small little business that is retention free, and everybody retention and because we're in a recession free, and that's going to actually go with me until I can't do it no more. But my second point about what happened to me getting burned is that when you're trying something new, even when you're a baby, you have to learn that lesson in order to teach you not to do it again. So me getting burned with these containers, these are plastic containers, and they're sturdy and they're strong, but if you put it in a microwave with any kind of substance in it, it's going to fold. And I wasn't thinking because I was so excited, and when I took it out, it folded and caramel just dripped all down my hand and splashed on my face. It's just like me wanting to ride a motorcycle. I've talked to people who have rode and who are still riding, and they said, oh, you're going to lay that bike down. It's the same lesson. And even as a kid, you are so curious about things. You go and you say, you know what? I see a stove over there. Let me go touch that stove. When you touch the stove, you get burned. So that's repurposing. That's reconditioning, and it's conditioning not to touch the stove because the stove is hot. And so now, hopefully, I won't have to go through this no more. I got nothing but aloe, vitamin E, and cocoa butter. But God is still good because I'm getting unexpected checks in the mail from stuff that I'm just donating. And I'm not even thinking about it. And then, I had a little pocket where I was just running short. And I was like, God, what am I going to do? And the next thing you know, cha-ching, cha-ching, let the cash register ring. I'm telling you, Cash App, just out of nowhere. So, even though week has been hectic, things have been happening, it's still going to be a silver lining at the end of the clouds. It's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel with rainbows and sprinkles. And stress can really be a killer if you don't get the reins around it. Like, I'm really trying to hone in on different things that I know that's going to take me out of a stress mode, because it's affecting my work. It's affecting my work during the day, and it's affecting my work at night. I'm really screwing up. And normally, we are perfectionists. We don't want to admit that we're wrong. We don't want to admit that we did wrong. But when we do wrong, we have to face the music. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't be ashamed of things that you failed at, because God is a God of a second, third, fourth, fifth chance. I've said that before. You fall down, He'll pick you back up and brush yourself off and move on. So now I'm going to be posting a lot of candy apples. People are going to get sick of me. Like, I've made candy grapes. I'm trying to master this candy grape thing that then took TikTok by storm with the candy pineapples. Now, I make chocolate-covered pineapples. Believe it or not, chocolate-covered pineapples taste just like chocolate-covered strawberries, and it's the cheaper way to do it. So you go to the store, you buy a can of dough, and you have to drain it overnight. Pineapples are naturally wet. You got to pat it, and just do whatever you can. Put them suckers in the freezer so they can get hard. Get you a mold. Get you some chocolate melts or some almond bark, melt it, and put it in a mold. Put the pineapple over it. Put the chocolate over the pineapple. Freeze it. Take it out. do some decorations, some sprinkles, and you have you a nice little dessert. Not really too fattening. Chocolate, some chocolate is good for you, so I try to go out and buy dark chocolate. So, I just think you sharing the wealth will bless you. And I think my lucky stars from a lot of the YouTube women that are out there, a lot of the YouTube men that are out there, YouTube University, that's teaching great skills on homemade businesses. If you can't find a job and you're looking for something, again, I stress the fact of you getting out there and just looking for a talent within you that God blessed you with. Honestly, I have always had, my cousin had to remind me the other day, you got that from your grandfather and your father. They could build anything. They could just do anything. Take your mind and just be creative. I even tell my son is acting, and he's just doing so much to get involved with his acting. Your talents are so important. Don't let it go to waste. Don't die within an issue of not doing anything with your life that can bless other people. Yeah, you could do your 9 to 5, you could do your 7 to 3, 8 to 4s or whatever, midnight graveyard shift, but don't let that be the end all be all of you. Just do what you have to do. So now I'm at my time, 16 minutes and 28 seconds. As usual, I'm not in Walmart, but I went to Walmart last night. Damn near spent all my money. Lesson learned. But it's okay. Nothing really happened at Walmart except that I did everything I needed to do within 15 minutes. But what really is crazy is that I work for my part-time job. I have to wait for them to send me a check, which takes days. Then once I get the check, because there's no direct deposit, then I got to turn around and put the check in the bank, and then I have to wait for the check to clear. Where they do that at? So I had to scrape pennies just to go to Walmart. But anyway, that's my time. I just want to say goodbye to everybody. And thank you, Ro, for Sweet Connections, for sharing your wisdom. And there's another young lady. Her name is Christina. She's up in New York. I don't know what her page is because she has different names. But I could tell the way she say chocolate that she says chocolate. She is a northerner. She is from Staten Island, Long Island. She's up there somewhere. But she says a chocolate. Definitely a northerner. Those two women have blessed my life with those YouTube videos. Look them up. They got some great ideas, and now I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it and build my own ideas. But anyway, I'll be back with Car Chronicles 42. I know I'm going to have something to say, like I always have something to say. It's just me documenting my content, like my son said. I will talk to you later. Be blessed.